Hey there, and welcome to the Nick Long Show. I am your host, Nick Long, and this is episode 3. And today we are going to be talking about how to get started with your very first rental property. If you came to me and you said, Nick, I want to get in the game, I want to buy a rental property, I want to do this thing, tell me what I should do. Well, that's why we're here today. So let's go ahead and jump in and get started. So the first thing I would tell you to do is to educate yourself. Just start reading, learning about real estate investment. There are a plethora of books out there and websites and things that you can go to and jump in and get started learning about real estate investing. And we're going to be talking a lot about those things as we go along together on this journey. Just go out there and start reading, educating yourself. I would caution you to not get stuck. Paralysis of analysis, right, is where you're just constantly reading and you're never taking action. Action is the most important thing after you get some education. Real estate is not the most complicated thing, okay, guys? It all involves pretty simple math. You just have to make smart decisions. I mean, don't get carried away in the wave, the emotional wave of buying your first property. You have to think about it. You have to be smart about it. Educate yourself. Don't wait too long. I would say if you commit yourself to learning about real estate, you should be able to buy your first investment property within around 6 months, I think, is a realistic time frame from the time that you start reading, educating, make the connections, and then you actually put an offer in and you go close on your first property. I think 6 months is a very doable time frame. And if I haven't mentioned before, I will be coming out with a course on small multi-unit investing, which is how I have gotten started and built up my portfolio. I'll be giving you more information on that in the future. Next, pick a lane. What kind of investor do you want to be? As you go out and you start reading about real estate investment, you're going to quickly find that, this is a cornucopia of real estate investment. What do I choose first? There's wholesaling, there's fix and flipping, there's buy and hold. That you can buy trailer parks, you can buy single family houses, you can buy multi-family houses, you can buy land. There's all kinds of stuff that you can get involved with. My suggestion, if you are a person looking to build wealth over time, it's not get rich quick, but it is definitely get rich. And don't feel like, I'm late to the game. I didn't buy my first rental property in my 20s like you did, Nick. It's fine. It's better to have one rental property and you're paying down principal. And I mean, even if you're 50 years old, 60 years old, like, you can still make this work, all right? Don't feel like that your time has passed. I believe that buy and hold is the smartest way to go. Cash flowing rental property is the best way to go if you're interested in creating long-term generational wealth for yourself and your family. Next, one of the most important things in real estate is connecting with other people and building your network. Your network is your net worth, is the common phrase. So go out there and find a realtor in your area who is familiar with real estate investment. If you don't know any realtors who are familiar with real estate investment, there are websites like Bigger Pockets has a great website where you can go and you can look up realtors in your state, and then just by them being on that website, you kind of know that they are involved with rental real estate. So there's that. You can call your local realtors association and find out, hey, how can I search for those realtors who have sold more investment property than any other realtor in the area? And the other way that you can do it is by going out to meetups. And this is part of connecting, right? So connecting with realtors, connecting with other investors, connecting with your investor community in your area. Unless you live in a very, very small area, there isn't an investor community that meets up, every month or something like that, then create your own and start inviting people and just connecting with people. Start rubbing elbows and talking to people. Put yourself out there. So number 3, how to get started with your first rental property is you need to create a plan for that first purchase. In other words, you need a down payment, right? Where's that going to come from? So let's talk about a couple ways that you can do that you can plan for that. The next thing you're going to have to decide is, okay, am I going to house hack this thing? In other words, am I going to live in one of the units and then rent out the rest of them? Because if you do that, if you're in a place where you can do that or you're willing to do that, then you can get like a Fannie Freddie loan, like a home buyer loan. Like you could put down as little as 3.5%, or a VA loan. If VA loans, sometimes you can put down 0% if with the right criteria. That is going to be the cheapest way if you're willing to house hack and live in the property. So that's the key. You have to actually live in the property, live in one of the units in that property to get that low of a down payment, 3.5%, 5%, something like that. Now, let's say you're older, you have kids, you're established in your community. Your wife is not going to let you, or you are not willing to go and live in a rental property in some different part of town. Like, that's not gonna happen. Well, that's okay. Like, you can still buy a rental property. It's not the end of the world. But in that type of situation, you're going to need a little bit more of a down payment. You're going to need about 20% in order to make that work. So if you're buying a rental property in Columbus, Ohio, you can definitely find a rental property. If you look hard enough for long enough, you could find a rental property for around $200,000. Now, I know that this market is different than other markets, and you might be living in New York or California, and something will be like, Nick, that is just not doable. And the $200,000 is just, no, that's not going to happen. Figure something out. Like, go to a municipality that's close to your area, but the prices are a lot lower. You can make it happen. So let's say you're looking in the $200,000 price range, and you need 20%, $40,000. How do I get 40K? I don't have 40K just laying around. Well, there are some options. First, do you have an IRA? Like, maybe you've been working for a company for a number of years, and you've got a decent IRA built up. Well, you could self-direct some of that money, and there are a number of custodians, is what they're called. If you just look up self-directed IRAs, there are a number of self-directed IRA companies out there. You can look it up online, and you can set up the paperwork so that you can transfer money from your IRA over to your self-directed IRA, and then your self-directed IRA, which you control, can purchase a property. Now, there's additional paperwork that goes along with that, and I'm not going to get into that. That's a question for those companies, how all that works. But that is definitely a path for you to make a purchase, a rental property purchase, using retirement funds that you already have. And I would argue would, in the long run, would probably be a better investment than just having all your money in the stock market in an IRA. Another option is if you already own your own home, and let's say that you've built up some equity in your home. Let's say your home is worth $400,000 and you've got your mortgage paid down to like $200,000. Well, there's $200,000 of equity just sitting there in your home. You can do a refinance on your home and just get a new mortgage and take some of that money out. Like, you can finance on refinances right now. I think you can go up as high as 90%. A lot of them are 80%. Some of them are 75%, is more of a traditional, like more conservative, that the banks will go. But there are banks out there that will go as high as 90% on a refinance of a home that you already own and currently live in. So you can pull some money out that way. You could also do a home equity line on your home. So let's say, going back to that example, let's say you have $200,000 left on the mortgage. You could easily get a $100,000 line of credit on a home worth $400,000. So now you have $100,000 that you can write a check for from your home equity line, And yes, you do have to pay more interest on that money that you pull out, and you have to do the math. Let's say that the interest rate on your home equity line is 3.5%. Well, you have to write that into your figures when you're looking at your investment property. Am I going to do better than 3.5%, that I can pay the interest on the home equity line? Will the cash flow, can I take the cash flow that I'm going to be making from this property, and can I pay both the mortgage and the expenses and the cost of pulling out money on this home equity line? And one more way that you can come up with the down payment for your first rental property is to partner with someone else. Let's say that mom or dad or grandma and grandpa, or your rich uncle, or whoever, or just your buddy from college. Let's say he went off and started some tech company, and he just sold it for $5 million. Now, I know that not everybody has friends like that, but I would be willing to bet that you know someone in your circle who has some extra cash laying around. And if you went to that person and you said, hey, I'm looking at investing in real estate. I'm working with a realtor, I'm going to meetings, and if I find something that would be a really good deal, would you be willing to help me out with the down payment? Maybe it's 50-50. Maybe you have 20 grand and your friend has 20 grand, or your family member has 20 grand, and you go in together. And there are lots of different ways that you can structure that. They could just be a money partner for you, where you offer them 10%, is pretty common. Actually, 12% on private money is like standard anymore. But there are many people who would be willing to lend you money as well at 10%, 8%. You have to make it worthwhile for them. So make sure that the deal is right, that you can give them that amount of money. Yeah, partner with other people. The other way to structure it, instead of just being a money partner, is to give them equity in the deal. Maybe you do it like a 50-50 on something, and you say, hey, you bring the down payment and I'll go get it financed, and I'll give you 50% of the deal. Like, if they just bring 20%, but you give them an additional 30% of the deal and you run the whole deal, like you take care of everything else, that's a solid deal for the investor. Last but not least, I don't want to say risky, but there's definitely risk there, is you could pull out credit card money to purchase an investment property. I have done that before in the past. Now, with credit card companies, you get these offers, right? And they say, 0% for 12 months. Now some of them are saying 5%, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to do 5% on a credit card advance, but I have done them before. They have worked out for me in the past. It is an option. We'll talk about ways to purchase different kinds of investment properties. A common strategy is buying something that needs work, fixing it up, and then refinancing it and pulling that money out on the back end, otherwise known as the BRRRR strategy. So if you do that and you do it the right way, and you pull money back out on the back end, you can take the money that you use on the refinance. Let's say you get the fix up done in 12 months. You can take the money that you pull out on the refinance and then use that to pay off the advanced money that you use from credit cards. So that is a strategy I've used in the past. It's not one that I'm not super proud of, but it got the job done and it worked. So that is an option. I would suggest one of the other three options that I mentioned before this to get started. A book that you may want to check out is called Set for Life. It is by the author Scott Trench. He is also involved with BiggerPockets. And Scott did just a fantastic job in writing Set for Life. It really gives you perspective on how to manage finances and how to just set up your life in a way that you can purchase assets going forward. It is geared for those who are probably younger, 20s and 30s, but if you're past that stage, I would still suggest reading the book, just because it gives a lot of money management principles that never get old, no matter how old you are. And the final one is don't stop until you've reached your goal. Anything worth doing is going to take some effort. Buying rental real estate, I think, is definitely worth doing. Just don't stop. It's consistent daily action. Do something every day. Just, it doesn't matter if it's just a little bit, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just do something. Just keep your mind in the game and don't stop until you've reached your goal of buying your very first investment property. So those are my 4 ways to get started buying your first rental investment property. So I hope that helps. If you like what you hear, if you gain any amount of value from this, please hit the subscribe button. Bye.